everybody's going to have to hit. Got it. Again, open up the end of the end of the summer next year is our goal. And if all goes well, it will be a beautiful new, brand new, but very stylized, very cool theater that will just do such amazing things for the downtown. They're partnering with a couple of the restaurants. They've had many conversations with a lot of the businesses in town. So it's really very exciting.
Kevin Shivas announced at Rotary today that she is launching the East Coast premiere of her Harvard 5 film there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we all talked about. First of all, when we met Devin over a year ago and saw that, maybe it was 2 even, but that's exactly what we want this theater to be able to do. And I can't think of a better way to kick it off, right, with Devin. So she's had a couple meetings with them, and that's the plan. So we'll see. And I also found out back to sort of 1923. I've also been doing some research, thanks to Nancy, on some of you may know this, and this is just a little bit of an aside, but there are actually 2 time capsules that were put in near the Wayside Cross in New Canaan. One went in 1923, that's in the base of the Wayside Cross, in the foundation of the Wayside Cross. And Nancy found me some articles that explain all of the contents in there, and it's really fun. Nancy, I had my magnifying glass out there again today reading it. I mean, there are things like a postage stamp and a $50 and a, silver.
Yeah, and the then and now column tomorrow is on this, which lists the entire contents.
Oh gosh, I transposed the whole thing today, and you could have just saved me all that time.
Sorry, I didn't know.
That's okay. But so that one sits in there, and it's really not able to be any retrieved in any way, right? Because it's part of the actual cross. But another one went in as part of the was it the bicentennial yet? That Michael Alberginos and a whole team put in. And again, that one is a much larger, it's a capsule. It's a true time capsule. And that one seems to be sort of in the grass in the front area, to be opened in 2051. So, but there's apparently a lot of little artifacts and documents in there about New Canaan. So that's a neat thing. So I'm thinking that, the next one that goes in, we'll have to put something in about the Playhouse. But so 1923 was a big year between the Playhouse opening up and then these time capsules. So anyway, so now that we have a group here, enough of you I need to get the minutes approved. So does someone want to make I'm assuming everybody read them. Nancy, you have a second? BJ, I saw your hand. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good, thanks. All right. BJ, you want to start us off in the business development guide, and then I will fill in some of the blanks since our last meeting?
Oh, that'd be great. I want to thank everybody who contributed with your thoughts. That is awesome. We're going to wait until we hear from town, because Tucker has been able to pass it around to a number of people, and they've been kind of slowly getting back to Tucker. So maybe you could just fill us in a little bit about. Yeah.
So what I've said to everybody that I've passed, you all got a first pass at it. And again, thank you for the comments. But what I've done now is I've sent it around to a number of the departments in town hall and asked them to everything from making sure that all of the contact information is correct for the different departments, garbage info. Again, this is all designed to be a document that's going to help someone who's thinking of opening up a business in town or has just signed a lease and needs to know everything. So I've told everyone don't worry so much about the style or the format or anything right now. We just got to get the content correct. And so
I felt bad, Alan, because you were like, oh, the look of it.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, we haven't designed it yet.
Yeah, we've just got to get like a letter from Kevin. Laura has submitted a letter from the chamber, but it's really right now about a meeting that we're going to have. And I was able to finally get it scheduled, and Brock's going to join us next Friday with all of the land use departments. I'm going to have them all come at once so that we decided there was a smaller subcommittee meeting back, I don't know, several weeks ago. And we decided that we really needed sort of a frequently asked questions part of it, but they all know what are the most often asked questions so that we can make sure we hit on all of that in the guide. So that's happening next Friday, and I anticipate that once we've got their input, we'll be ready to fill in the blanks with some of the other information, and we should be able to start then making it look pretty, so to speak.
Yes.
Ready for prime time. So that's sort of the status on that. If any of you still have yet to, I think everybody here gave us some comments, and I know, Nancy, one of the suggestions you had, and it's something that I've wanted to do all along, but when we do finish it up, I would love to send it to Amanda Martocchio and have her just take a look at it too. And I think she'd be a great set of eyes on it as well. So, and then what we'll do is run it by a couple of the recent business owners in town and say, you know, how would this have helped you? Did this hit on anything that you had to learn the hard way? So
Were you able to get in touch with parking with Stacy?
I was. So Stacy and I sat
yay.
down, and
Great.
she had a number of just a couple of edits, and actually even the map on the website, BJ, that you did for us,
Mhm.
we now have more 15-minute parking zones.
Oh,
So
awesome.
it was actually a great exercise from the standpoint that we also found out some things that we need to do just as part of updating the parking
Yeah,
information.
that's been a little
currently
bit,
sits on the
that's
website.
wonderful. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Yep, so I got all of her input. I've asked her to write us a little blurb that we'll put in
Oh,
there.
good.
So
Uh-huh.
he's moving forward on it. Kevin's working on his letter. I'm almost done with
Good.
mine, and then we'll get the meeting next week. And then I think we've got sort of the key elements. So,
Wonderful.
yep. So that's it on that one. If anybody has anything else to add on that one, if not, we can move on to the big event, which is October for Design. I saw a nice ad, Nancy, today in the Bedford New Canaan magazine.
Yep. So
Yeah.
they're the media sponsors this year. They did that ad.
Okay.
Little back and forth with Gina, but I think it's pretty good. It's not
Yep.
exactly what we wanted, but it was what they wanted. I think we're good to go. The October for Design calendar is populated. It's pretty busy. And the thing that I like is that we have a lot of other like non-historical society people participating. So that's great.
Hmm.
That was always the goal. And so that's good. And the culture guide, I think, will actually help October for Design because that's now out and about. We distributed that yesterday to all the nonprofits, to the realtors, to the Welcome Wagon, or the town greeter, whatever the title is.
Yeah.
And so we're off and running. I think it's going to be good.
Have any of you, Greg, I know you got to see a copy of the culture guide. Got one right here. We'll make sure everyone gets one, but it is amazing. I'm not going to be able to see it with my blurry background, but it is really incredible. I've got them over at Town Hall. Nancy's got a bunch. I think it came out really, really, I think you did an exceptional job.
No, I think Gina did a really good job, and I think the decision to not have advertising was important because it's very concise. It's all about the cultural institutions, and it's timeless. So
It is
you know,
timeless.
my hope is that we don't have to do anything to update it for 10 years.
True. Greg, I know you had a look at it, and you guys are featured in there.
Yeah, well, we might have one minor tweak, but if it's difficult to achieve, we'll just skip the tweak. I mean, for future, not for now.
Oh, for
You can let
future.
me know because we're going to go into a second printing
Okay,
within like 3 weeks. Yeah.
And I know I heard from New Canaan Chamber of Music. They were thrilled to be in there. The library, I think putting that sort of center in the centerfold, I think that's just great. So if anybody hasn't gotten a copy, come by Town Hall. I'll give you one. It's really well done. Anything else on October for Design? Are you sold out of anything yet, Nancy? Or are you?
We're sold out. Interestingly, we're sold out of the historic walking tours that don't have anything to do with mid-century modern. But
Funny.
yeah. So from the Historical Society's perspective, we're actually thinking, oh my God, there's a demand for this, in which case we may do it once a month anyway.
Right.
Hmm.
Is part of that walking tour to come into Town Hall and see those two paintings that are upstairs?
No, the only places we're going inside are St. A's Congregational Church, First Pres, and St. Mark's.
Okay.
Everything else is done outside. But we've done it, and we've done it with different volunteers of different ages, and sort of taken their comments and suggestions to tweak it a little bit. So it's going to be basically 2 hours, and you get the whole downtown history. You come out by the library, you go back up Park Street by the train station and the Max Perkins house, and then you go up to First Pres and St. Mark's, and then you come back to the Historical Society. So we're excited about that.
And you say those are all full.
All full.
Do you have a group coming? Oh, Terry's doing. Do you have a group? Last year you had some travelers coming from California, I think. Have you got any groups coming this year?
We don't have a big group. We have people from out of state, but we don't have, like, Palm Springs Modernism is not coming because the only tour that we're doing, we offered the year that they were there, which is Glass House, Grace Farms, Fred Noyes' house, and then a reception at another Mid-Century Modern.
Right, good. Jack, I see you have your hand up. I'm sorry, I just saw that. Did you have a question?
Well, actually, it went back to the movie theater when I had
Oh.
raised. But I just wanted to mention something to Nancy. I sent you a note. I thought it was great that you had put that sign up at the Gourds Pavilion. And I thought that was just a great piece of work to, passively educate people, about the mid-century moderns in town. I thought that was wonderful when I saw it on giving a tour. And the other thing is with the film at the movie theater on the moderns, Devon's film, that could be a whole event for the town, for restaurants, and the window could be a real learning and business development experience. It could be dovetail. Maybe they're thinking about that. But when we were going to do the Pedro Guerrero movie there, which we weren't able to do, one thing we wanted to do was maybe have the restaurants, have special martinis that night or something like that to draw people in.
I think it would be great. My concern is we need the Playhouse to be done, and we need the film to be done.
Right.
Both
Oh,
big ifs. Yeah.
well, when it comes, I'm sure it's
Yes.
going to come.
Yes.
That's it.
You're mute, Tucker. You're mute.
I know, I have two computers going here right now, and BJ, I'm gonna make you co-host just because I was afraid of this, that one of my computers might have a problem. So anyway, we're back. You can all hear me, yes?
Mhm.
Good. Okay, marketing material is sort of what we just covered with the cultural guide. I would like us to be thinking about, I think it will get some good information from the cultural guide in terms of just where I'm assuming, Nancy, you've kept a list of every place that you've dropped it off and the distribution and all of that. So what I'd like to do is think about that going forward, in 6 months or so, and think about more locations that were the real drivers for getting the information out. Where is this really getting picked up? Because I think we can do more of this in the way of marketing. I mean, the cultural guide is a perfect example of something that, while it's relatively timeless, I think we can do more with different information, different content, not necessarily a TDAC initiative, but I know that the Board of Realtors has considered doing that book that they have, the Welcome to New Canaan book, which is really more geared towards if anybody just moved to town, and it's got everything in there, sort of an answer book, if you will. So, we'll be thinking about that, because I think we can do more with marketing in terms of general information. There's 700 new families in town, and I'm sure they're all anxious to get information, and certainly they're going to the website and that kind of thing. But I just want us to think a little bit broader about that going forward.
The town greeter got a lot of copies. I mean, she has a
She-
lot of copies. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So she'd be somebody that that I can touch base with. BJ? You're muted, BJ. Still muted.
Someone had asked me if we had a restaurant guide,
Hmm.
and they were like, oh God, that'd be so great. They were new to town, and a restaurant guide. I know that when we did Caffeine and Carburetors, we added all the restaurants in town to one of the social media posts, and it was the one that got just the highest click. So It's
Yeah.
something to think about.
I remember way back when Ed Ballmer had the walking tour map, Nancy, he
Yeah.
had all the restaurants on the back there. And gosh, I really like that idea. I mean, with anything that's got any real specific information, the only downside to it is if you print it, it's the, a restaurant name changes or someone comes in. But certainly with digital, we have much more of an opportunity there. So.
Can we put it
I
on?
will tell you that Ed is painstakingly updating his map so we can hand it out on the walking tour.
Oh, he is? Oh, great.
Can we put it on the Live New Canaan site? Is there a page?
It's not
Yeah.
digital. It's not digital.
But not the map, but just a restaurant guide.
Yeah, the guide that you just did, in other words, BJ, that you just did for Cafe and Carburetors, can we ask Live New Canaan to add that to their
Yeah,
website?
Yep, it was specific to restaurants that were going to be open during the Caffeine and Carburetors, but it's a
Okay.
great start, and we
Well,
could expand it.
Laura's got all the restaurants
yeah.
now,
Right.
right? So
Mhm.
we could just assign her to pull that information together. That's a great idea, Alan.
Yeah, I can email her what I've got and go from there. Yeah, she has a great list.
All right. We used to do, as far as the restaurants go, for years, we did a restaurant week and that kind of thing. And we've gotten away from that. The Taste of the Town stroll is really supposed to have been sort of the placeholder for that, but we might think about another restaurant week in the spring. It's always a good driver. Okay. Wow, 7:25. All right. So I want to hear from everybody else, though. I want to hear what's going on. Greg, how are things going on over there with you guys?
Demand continues to be strong. We're selling whatever we make available. The weather has been remarkably cooperative, so we can't complain about that. The question is, what's the foliage going to do?
Yeah.
With the kind of weird year we had, but it's that season where students have returned to university, and a lot of people come either as part of university tours or to see the foliage change. We just added an exhibition on the property, Robert Stadler Furniture. Robert is your Paris-based furniture designer, and he is guest lecturing at Yale this year. And so we have a few of his designs on display in the glass house and scattered elsewhere on the property.
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't know about the foliage with the drought, you mean? Are we gonna get
Yeah.
hot? Yeah, I don't know. It's probably gonna be a pretty limited year, I'm afraid.
Shh, don't say it.
All right. I know, because you guys get such beautiful, that whole vista looking out there is amazing.
Someone in my office was talking about snowleage. That's the new term. How it might be snowing by the time the leaves change or something. So
Oh, my gosh.
Well, that's the other
It's
thing.
dropped
We
off. That's the problem.
made
Yeah.
tickets available now through December 15th. Initially, we had cut it off in November, but so we don't want any snow for for a couple more months.
Right. I'll give a little update. Laura had shared with me a couple of things. First of all, in terms of the downtown, Elm Street is 100% occupied,
Wow.
which is terrific. Has been a while since that's happened. So we still have that one sort of gap, void, whatever you want to call it, over on Main Street. But that's really just a function, I think, of the fact that the building's for sale and the landlord doesn't really want to entertain anything there in the meantime. So business seems to be strong. We're back to the Playhouse. We're having to help relocate Earth Garden. So she's got some neat ideas of where she might end up. So we're working with her right now. I mean, that's a huge loss to that particular area just because she does such a wonderful job of making Elm Street look so pretty. But I think we'll end up with something that will be just as good. So downtown seems to be going well. The bump outs are almost completed. The first round of bump outs, this space, I mean, Elm Restaurant has just gotten so lucky being where they were because their space just doubled basically. And they've done such a great job with their patio with these new lamps. I don't know if anybody's seen it, these massive, beautiful lamps. And umbrellas and that kind of thing. So I think it was a good summer. I think that it was pretty active. It felt quiet. I happened to be around in August when people tend to be away, but it didn't, for some reason, it didn't feel as quiet to me. I'm not sure if that was just my own take, but so I think things are going well. She's finding things to be fairly robust. So that was her report. Jack, where did you just go? Oh, there he is. Sorry, you raised your hand again. Sorry, the squares keep moving on me. You're muted, Jack.
Still muted, Jack.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was wondering whether you had picked up any chatter at all from the merchants, with rising interest rates and discussion of possibly going into a difficult economic season ahead, whether there's been any discussion about that with the merchants.
I personally haven't. Laura didn't share any of that with me. I know at this time of year, as you also know, that, they're really focusing on the holidays and the big holiday season. But have not heard anything specific to any of the interest rates or anything that's could be headed our way.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Greg?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I haven't followed if it's already been announced, but what are the plans with outdoor dining this year?
Yeah, so the whole point of the bump outs was so that we could just leave it up to the specific restaurants that are out there if they want to stay out, I mean, given the weather, but there has not been a final decision. However, there are a couple of retailers that really, really, really want us to get the barricades off of the street to retrieve as much parking or recapture as much parking as possible. We're really down to just a few. The only barricades that are out there right now on the right-hand side are really in front of Rosie's and La Patisserie. They sort of share that section. And then up by Chef Louis. The rest has all, been accommodated by the barricades. So no final decision has been made yet. As you all know from the past, people have been eating out almost year round the last couple of years. And I think with heaters and things like that, there's still some potential for that. So no decisions yet, but that decision will have to come at some point in time. Yeah. Nancy, you gave us an update unless you've got anything more that you need to add. How generally, Nancy, things aside from October for Design, things for you are busy?
We've been crazy busy because of the wedding dress exhibition, which we extended by 2 weeks. So
I
we've
saw it in
had-
Channel 12 last night.
Yeah, and I got an email from someone, I'm driving up from Virginia. Can you be open on this time? So it's given me pause. I mean, clearly clothing and textiles has an audience that we have not tapped before. But it's been great. We're very busy.
How about your sculpture exhibit that you've inherited?
The Rogers Studio stuff, that's like a 2-year project.
That's a 2-year
So
project. Wow.
Greenwich Historical Society gave us 65 Rogers sculptures, and we're integrating those into our collection that was already about 80. And the studio will be redone, and then the sculpture will be reintroduced. So that's
Great.
Yeah, that's a long-term project.
Fantastic. All right, Brock, have you got anything to add? How's the real estate situation from your perspective?
Things are certainly better. There's a pickup in office activity, which is needed. People looking for office space. So hope that continues to help the office sector. And like you said, retail sector is doing better for sure. So things have improved.
Good. Okay.
Brock, what is the vacancy rate in commercial office space? Do you have a number?
I don't, but it's been high. Greenwich and Stanford have done well to fill their office space in the pandemic. New Canaan has lagged behind. There's been a couple one-off buildings that have accounted for a high vacancy issue due to, people not understanding the market perhaps. So 65 Locust Avenue has been a building that's been vacant, mostly vacant, and there's some activity there, so that's a good sign.
Anybody else have anything to add? I did want us to, what I'd like to do before the next meeting is, so the next meeting will really be primarily about this business development guide and making sure that we are where we need to be on that, and then getting that printed and getting it going. But we're gonna have to be thinking about what our new priorities will be for the following year, because I think we'll have checked the boxes. I mean, October for Design is now certainly something that's, I hope, Nancy, you will continue, throughout your tenure for sure, and then some. And I think that this business development guide will be something that will be very helpful, but we are gonna have to think about new projects and new initiatives that we might wanna think about for the next year that we can all work on. I know we're all working on our own individual projects here and there, but I do think that it's time now to be thinking a little bit bigger. And so any new ideas that anybody's got that we can do, I think as far as the commercial real estate, I've given that a lot of thought too, Brock. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but just in terms of, how does one find out what's available? I know you all work with different agents, but is it LoopNet? Is that the one, Jack, that you've referred to that tends to be the sort of the MLS of commercial real estate?
Yeah, we use LoopNet. Mhm.
Yeah. Does that, oh gosh, dogs are barking. Does that cover, but I think we found in the past that not everybody puts all of their listings on there. Is that right?
That's true, but it's generally a pretty good survey.
It is? Okay. All right.
I would
So,
agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing next year, maybe we could reach out to the newcomers club who are active in addition to town greeter, about the business development guide, in case there's anybody from that group of people that want to start businesses or move their businesses to New Canaan.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Tucker, I was just wondering about the process of how we are going to decide of what's going to be at our agenda next year.
The process? Well, the process has been that, sorry, I've got dogs jumping all over me here. Shh, guys, be quiet. The process has been that, when we started this TDAC a couple of years ago, we were sort of all over the map and trying to figure out exactly where we wanted to focus our energies. And then we've now been able to tailor it down to these projects that we've been working on. But a lot of it has to do with just what our purview is and what we have authority over, if you will. We're an advisory board, so we're just making recommendations basically to the Board of Selectmen for funding, and then certain projects that we have that we want to take on. So we've talked about it collectively as a group, and I think that is still how I perceive us as operating and deciding where we want to focus our efforts. And unless anybody thinks that there's a better way of doing it.
Yeah, I don't, I just know that, I've written you about this. I just feel there's some issues that we're missing. I feel that many people approach me and are very concerned about the direction the town development and zoning is going. And I do feel that this does affect both the tourism and economics of the town. And I think we should be discussing more of that in TDAC, whether we do it amongst ourselves or invite people in to discuss with us and really educate us as a group.
Well, I think, I know you've brought that up in the past, and I think the timing was such that we didn't have a lot of information. I know there are a lot of forums that are happening now where people are sharing the information. As you know, there are several applications in front of planning and zoning at the current moment. So I think that we could, I think to your point, we could probably use some information to be shared with us, but I don't know if there's anything specifically that we should be working on other than just being informed. I don't know what we could really do. I mean, it's big on staying in our lane, and we've had this conversation before, but other than being informed, I'm not sure what you think that TDAC.
And I
how we
always
could get
disagree with
involved.
that. I disagree with that statement that it's not in our lane. I do feel very strongly that what is happening in town, in zoning and how the town is changing very quickly is our lane. and we should be discussing that more. I don't, that's why I asked you about the process. I mean, I'd be happy to work within a process to help, maybe sketch this out.
Well, as I say, the process was a collective group decision. We had these conversations. We got as close as basically taking straw polls as to what everybody wanted to work on and what they thought that we could really be effective in doing. And I think we've done that. I think between some of the things that we've pulled off, we should be very proud of. I just don't know. I think we could go round and round and round on
Yeah.
anything to do with development. I think we should be in the know for sure. And I think we should keep it in mind with decisions that we make and projects that we take on. But I don't think TDAC has a role in the process or in what's being put before the town right now. That's my own personal opinion. I think everybody else has agreed over time because we've had this conversation. So unless anybody else feels strongly, that's just what I recall the conversation being. BJ?
Just working on the development guide, I've come across, obviously, gone through the website, the town website quite a bit to, get my information and that type of thing. And there was something interesting that Lynn had mentioned, which was having as many things as an online form. And that may not be our purview either, but it's something that would make the business guide even, it would work toward our benefit. A person could easily fill out a form. I found one that looked like it was from the 1970s for the town clerk, that you would fill out the, what your business is about, your trade name.
Right.
And I thought to myself, oh my God, that should be online.
No, there is a real effort right now at Town Hall to make sure that we can offer services, as many of the services as possible online.
Yeah.
But there are still old forms out there. I do not disagree. So
Yeah.
that is something that we could think about spending some time and looking, because it does relate right to the business guide, is going through the website and helping
Just
identify.
identifying them and
Mhm.
seeing if anybody was, wanted any more additional help to get those to be, online forms and stuff. That could be
Yep.
an extension of the business development guide.
Yep. Nancy, you had a hand raised?
Just going to respond to Jack to say that, I think that there's sort of a tension between development and preservation, which certainly the Historical Society feels, but if anything, maybe some person who can really address what is the impact on development in terms of a town, bringing people to town, bringing businesses to town, like that to me seems within our purview at TDAC. To have that kind of expert opinion on, are people drawn to towns where preservation is a big issue? Are they not? I don't know the answer to that, but I don't think we should be taking opinions on specific projects, but I do think that maybe educating all of us on that would be useful.
I agree with that. And I think that would be really a terrific person to come talk to us. Yeah, I think that we just need to be educated and look at this issue from community. I
You
agree.
broke up, was that only
That's it.
me that he broke up on, or was that? did other people-
No.
Me too, I
I
didn't hear.
didn't hear either.
Yeah, you broke up there, Jack. You just said something about, you think that and then you went out on us.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
No, I agree with that, Nancy. And I think that would be great if somebody like that came and talked about, preservation and how that, whether people care about that in the town and how that works with development. That'd be great. And I think those people are out there. I think some of them have spoken at some of these meetings. I think they brought some experts in.
yeah, and I do want us to get back to when we start the new year and bringing in, having someone speak to us at the beginning of each meeting. I think that's helpful from all the different areas that involve development in the downtown and tourism and all of that. So we'll start getting on a schedule. If anybody's got any names of people that they want us to, or they would like me to schedule in, I'm happy to do that. So, and I agree with both of you. So if if either Jack or Nancy or anybody else has any ideas of somebody that could could check that box. And I think that's a good example, Nancy, of what we could use and would be helpful to TDEC. So send them over and we'll try to.
I'm happy to do some research. I think it should be somebody that is not involved with either,
Absolutely.
anything in town right now, and just to give us a more broad sense of what is the impact of preservation on tourism, not really tourism, but economic development.
That would be great if you could do some work on that. I appreciate it. Okay. What's going on in your world, Alan, other than you're traveling all over the place, but it's the
That's-
world of PR?
I'm living in airports. It's good. I mean, the business has been really, really strong this year, which is amazing to see. We're a little, we're watching, seeing where things are going, but travel has been the biggest, which is amazing. It's just people are traveling. It's just so funny from 2 years ago when that took the biggest dive, and then now it's our biggest division, again. So it came back pretty quickly, which is nice to see.
Seemed like everybody that I could see on Facebook was in Greece this summer. Seems like everybody went to Greece.
Greece and Italy were really
Yeah.
big.
Greece and Italy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had major FOMO.
Yes, very big. So, yeah, so I said we're optimistic, but we're realistic. We just have to see what's happening. New York is packed. I don't know if you've been in lately. It is like the old days. This week was UNGA. The president was in town,
Right.
and every diplomat, and you just can't even. Every restaurant's booked. It's just everything's crazy again. So nice. To see.
Wow. And I heard that sort of 50% of the businesses, I heard a stat in the car the other day, 50% of the businesses are getting people back.
Yeah, I mean, we're 3 days a
Insane.
week, which is what most people are now. I mean, the banks
Right.
are doing more 5, but most people are doing 3. And I mean, our team likes to be back, other than the commute, they like being there. But the hotels are real busy in New York. The rates are really high. So
That's great news.
no,
Good.
it's all coming back. So
All right, well, I mean, unless we've got anything else to cover, I think we've got some good ideas for the next few months. But really, right now, for me, it's all about Nancy, sorry.
One quick thing. So the gallery stroll kicks off October for Design. And it'd be really nice if people could tell their friends and show up downtown and support the galleries. A lot of the retailers, I know Wave and Manfredi are both doing special programs for the night. So it's 5 to 7:30. And I hope, it has
What's the
nothing to
date?
do with the Historical Society. So I'm not plugging my own place, but I think it'd be really great if people showed up.
And what's the date?
October 13th.
Okay, and that's something else that we should get Liv New Canaan to really.
I just sent them all the stuff. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's get as many of us there as we can, but let's get the word out for sure. Okay, I'll do a plug for that too. Okay. I think I'll let you all go back to your regular lives. Put your feet up, and we'll see you all. Next meeting is October 20th. So hopefully I'll see you all at the gallery stroll on the 13th. We'll get a sort of a more final version of the business development guide to everyone before the next meeting, so that we can go over that in depth. And then, but we'll be fully into October for Design. So let's give everybody show our support of that. That would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
See you soon. Bye.